There is a house in New Orleans they call the Rising Sun, and it's been the ruin of many a poor boy. And God, I know I'm one. My mother was a tailor, sewed my new blue jeans. My father was a gambling man down in New Orleans. Now the only thing a gambler needs is a suitcase and a trunk. And the only time he's satisfied is when he's on the drum.
Testing, check, 1, 2, 3. Okay, go ahead, Pop. This is
So we're in
Tony
Las
DiBello, March 31st, 2021, sharing a story about him and Dorothy in Las Vegas.
Okay, so we're in Las Vegas, and they're filming. I think that the movie was The Electric Horseman, but it was Robert Redford, and there was some activity. I cannot remember how it came to the casino, but the scene is that they're leading Robert Redford on a horse. He's in the casino on the horse, and I just cannot remember what. In fact, the movie may still be out there somewhere in history. But anyway, they did their filming, and they're leaving. And as they're leaving, they have to pass. They have a narrow passageway, like for a short distance, a few feet, where it's narrow. So in order for them to go out of the casino with the, I don't know, they may have had several horses, 2, 3 horses, or maybe it was just the one, but the Redford was on the horse, the Star Horse and the Star Redford. And they're coming through, and they shoot all the people away, except I wouldn't let them shoot me away. So your mother and I, there may have been another couple, but I don't think so. But we're like the only ones in this passageway. And it's like, I don't know, narrow, 6 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet. There's just barely, if you put a horse in, there's barely room for a person to walk naturally alongside the horse. And we were in that space, and I wouldn't leave. So it was too late now. They had roped it in, all in, and I don't know, I don't think they were filming. I think they were just escaping. I don't know what they were doing. But they're going by, and in order for them to pass in front of us, we had to straighten up. If we lounged, we'd be like inches from the horse. And Redford was on the horse. I just don't remember but your mother made some smart comment to him, but I just cannot remember for the life of me what she said.
How did he react? Was he like pleased with it? Was he perturbed? How did he react when he heard, or did he hear it? Hold on, I'm going to finish it up. Okay. So yeah, she made the comment, but I had asked, was he perturbed? Was he pleased by it?
No,
was
he laughed. He laughed.
Oh, she said something that made him laugh?
Yeah, it was humorous, whatever she said.
Well, that's good. Not bad if you can make one of our heroes, Robert Redford, laugh.
I mean, he wasn't 6 inches from us. It was a narrow space, and he was on, of course, he was aboard the horse. So he was kind of happy. But she said something to him, and he had a trouble over it.
Well, that's a great movie, and I do remember the scene where he's exiting on the horse. And
How can I watch that?
you have to find it online. You can probably download it or order a DVD of it. But it's a
Can you
great.
see you see the moon? Can you see where the scene where he's riding the horse out of the casino?
Yeah, I think
'Cause
there's. I
well, there's
recall.
a possibility. There's a possibility
You're in
that
it.
well, it's possible because they
Uh,
were filming him.
I'm gonna look. If I recall the scene, he had on like the lighted and glitter saddlebag, like over, and he was like kind of drunk and tired from doing so many performances, and I think it was just kind of hunched over the horse. But I do remember the scene where the horse was exiting the casino. I think because you told me this story before. But when I get a chance, I'll try to order you the movie and have it sent to you, and you can.
Oh, that
It's,
well, wait, what
and
was
it's a
it?
good
The
movie
electric
anyway.
horseman? Yeah. Well, wait. Can I just get it on got everything here? Can I just get it on the screen now? I don't mean that I need to watch it now, but can I get it?
I'm
I
not
have
sure
to
what
send it.
I don't know how you get movies where you are.
On Spectrum. I was there selling. Um, Ted was on. They used to have a 5 o'clock, an afternoon movie, and Ted was like the host. Where are you?
I'm here. I'm turning. I'm trying to turn the speaker
Oh,
toward the internet. Go ahead.
Ted, can you see Ted's picture?
Yeah.
All right. Ted was the host, and his moniker was Windy Night. That was his name. And Windy Night, he'd sit there with his legs crossed on the floor with a beard, and he would be the MC for the 5 o'clock movie. He'd come on and say, "Hey, Windy," blah 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 blah, and then he would do the commercial breaks in between the movie, which was like 5 to 6:30 or something till the news came on. Well, to sell the spots in his show, which I was doing because I was in sales at I put a leash of some kind around him, and with a trail, the cord, and I'd walk around to him. We'd go and knock on the potential advertiser's door, and I'd be trying to sell them a spot. Tell him, Wendy. He'd say, "Yup, yup." He'd be my yes man. I mean, he could talk circles around me, but I was talking, and he was just my yup man. I think I have a letter. I had a letter when he packed it in Albany and to go to Hollywood. He was going. Did I tell you this story?
No, I don't think so. Go ahead.
He's going to stay. His sister had a place in Hollywood. He must have invited me and asked me and begged me at least 50 times over the few weeks while he was. She's got have your own room. She's got her own special room. Maron, every day he hammered me to go with him to California. Of course, I didn't go, but he did, and that's when he became Ted Knight.
Well, good for him.
Sorry, well, Ted Knight here first, but yeah, he begged me. He used to haunt me. Come on, my sister's got a nice room for you. It's all yours, and on and on and on.
Why did he want you to go?
I don't know. We were friends. I mean, we got close because if you think about it, I would take him out on commercial. So in other words, we'd leave the studio and we'd have to go call on an advertiser or two, and then we'd probably have breakfast or lunch. So I spent a lot of time with him.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting.
So we got to be friends. That's all. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he did ask me a number of times. I may have even had a letter somewhere. I don't think so, but he must have asked me 1,000 times, telling me how his room. I had my own room, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Well,
I
interesting.
remember like it was yesterday.
I thought you did a commercial with him.
Oh, I think I did. I did a couple of commercials with him. Yes, yeah. Up in Lake George, we did. I think I have something of it. I may have some remnant of it. I don't remember. I mean, I don't know. But I did. We did a couple of commercials up in Lake George.
I saw 2 old black and white pictures or commercials about you. I saw one, you're on, I want to say Evinrude is the name of the motorboat company. I think you're on a motorboat on Lake George. It looked like a black and white TV commercial with you in it.
Yeah, well, it could have been because we did some commercials in Lake George, and that's where he and I went up. We used to go up there and we'd do some commercials, and then we'd fool around. He's a hell of a guy.
That's great.
See his picture?
And then and then I saw another one where you're like you're like this old Indian. I don't know. You're dressed up as an old. One is you're an Indian up in Lake George. You're dressed up as they put you in a Native American outfit. What were you doing there? What was that?
Same thing, commercial of some kind for somebody up there.
And then
Either for the television here, well, it was video television here, but it was either, I mean, in other words, it was at the request of the station or at the request of the advertiser. But we were doing an advertiser's commercial.
Okay. And then I saw one where you're an old man in like, it looked like it might have been a little log cabin like built up in a studio. But you're dressed up as a really old man. And you sat out front of the window of the little, like it could have just been like a big piece of, just a studio type of thing, a prop, like a set, a scene thing. And you were there and you were like a really old man.
We did shoot some at Lake George, and then with the other ones we would have shot at the studio. But I didn't do much on camera. I was more in sales. But I only got on camera with Ted a few times, I think, because we were buddies.
Okay.
We were buddies.
Another Tony
was the best part. Like I said, can you imagine his talent? And we're walking around, and I got the chain 5, 6, 7. He's on the end of it, and I'd be doing the talking. How about it, Ted? Yep. So he could out-talk me. He could circle around me, but I would do the talking, and he'd be me up, man.
Oh, that's interesting. Another Tony DiBello, Brush with Greatness.
Beautiful guy. I loved him. And like I said, he must have asked me 1,000 times to go to California with him.
Well, great. Well, he's quite famous, and you are in your own right. So.
He left Providence and Albany, went into the job at Channel 10. He hosted the early show, featuring MGM movies and the kids. Yeah.
I still wish you would. I
wonder where I got this from. He was also a radio announcer. He was also a radio announcer for radio, WROW. That was our sister station.
Yeah, I remember WROW. Wow.
Tom Murphy.
And see, well, you should if you ever change your mind about that woman and get a couple of your kids to want to participate.
Yeah, none of my kids. Are you kidding?
No.
And all my kids are gone. I don't have any kids but you and Amy.
Well, that's tragic.
He married Dorothy Smith. Ted had 3 kids. He was awarded a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
He was
for his contributions.
He was most famous for the Mary Tyler Moore Show, and then he had his own show, then he had a really prominent role in the famed comedic movie Caddyshack. About he's at a golf course. He was Judge Smells was his name. But he's
that's all on these sheets.
Yeah.
I got 4 sheets on.
Very good comedic actor. Everybody liked him.
Oh, he was terrific. But better than that, he was a terrific guy.
Well, that's
He was
good.
a terrific guy.
Well, if you ever get to do that thing with that woman, bring Ted Knight up. They would find interest in that. So.
Male actors. Geez, I got to reread this myself. Ted Waluski. Ted. Man, can you see that name? Thaddeus.
Thaddeus, I know, is a Polish name. Yeah.
Thaddeus. Yeah. What Ladislaw?
Wadladzor or something like that. They say that. Something like that.
Konopka. Konopka.
Yeah, that's Polish. Yeah.
Yeah, and his middle name is Wladyslw.
Yeah.
That's a name and a half.
Yeah. Well, that's why you're Ted Knight.
Terrific guy, my buddy.
Interesting.
Well, okay.
All right, Father. Hold on. That's the end of the Ted Knight story for Tony DiBello. You keep saying he. Who is he?
Jimmy to speak.
Okay, so where were you? At the track on the rail?
Saratoga, yeah, he was in Saratoga. I met him in Las Vegas. I pulled him out of his little tiny dinky room, the one-room office that he lived in and slept, and we met again in Saratoga. I don't know, he didn't. I don't think he came to meet me. He was there for the meet, I suppose. But we spent time together, and a lot of time in Las Vegas, and some time in Saratoga.
And this is who?
Pennsylvania somewhere, I think. I remember his birthday. They have like a celebration where he was born.
Ohio.
Or wherever, yeah.
Okay, and this
somewhere out there.
and
But
this
anyway,
go ahead.
well, no, I don't remember. We were sitting on the rail there at Saratoga, and somebody walked by, and I don't remember who it was. And I just don't remember. What did I say to you when I started to tell you the story?
You said it was a horse guy. Maybe he was a bad handicapper, and you and Jimmy thought, or Jimmy pointed out that he was a bad handicapper, or didn't like the guy.
Yeah, that's what it was. But I just don't remember who it was. It was a noter. It was somebody noted, and Jimmy couldn't put him in the ground enough. We were sitting on the rail at the clubhouse, and he grabbed my arm and practically pulled me off and said, "Come on." I said, and he wanted to eavesdrop and see. Wait a minute. He wanted to eavesdrop and see what the guy was saying, I guess, but they were having a horse chat. And Jimmy went on and on, telling me what a lousy guy he was. That's all. There was nothing special to it. I don't remember. All I remember is he almost knocked me off, pulling me off the rail.
And that's you and who?
Jimmy the Greek.
And you call him what?
Jimmy the Speak.
And why do you call him that?
Because he's got a big mouth. And I told him that. He's got a big mouth. When he was on television, he just talk, and they had to curve him every place. Yeah, I think they had him in the booth once or twice. I don't remember, but you couldn't stop him from talking, mostly about himself.
It's priceless. Anything else?
Yeah. No, we're sitting on the rail, like I said, and he was on my right, and I'm on the left, and whoever I said walked by. It were two guys walking by, or maybe I think it was two. But the one guy was somebody I don't know what I tell you, a trainer, a owner with something to do obviously with horses. And Jimmy said he couldn't pick his nose out, or I said that, I don't know. But anyway, Jimmy pulled me, grabbed my elbow, pulled me, almost knocked me down over the rail. Wanted to go over and eavesdrop on whoever the guy was talking to somebody, and he wanted to eavesdrop on what they were saying.
And this was at the rail where?
At Saratoga, at the clubhouse rail.
That's priceless.
To the right, just a walk, there's a set of windows there, and then you go left, you go out of the track, you go right, you go back into the center. And, the clubhouse rail, everybody sits there. I used to.
Well,
I used to go every day, and I had a chair right where the rail was. Between the rail, there's a little field right there, and I put my chair there, and that was my headquarters. I used to drive up every day and sit there. I'd put my chair out, and I'd sit. Sometimes I think I left the chair in the bushes.
you know what? I remember that, but you must have had a spot more, earlier on when you were younger than that, because I remember that spot. All right, can you take 2 more minutes? Okay.
Yes.
Tell me the story about how you were walking in the service with Rune Arledge and Mel Yablonsky.
Okay. Every day, whatever, 7:30, 8 o'clock, whatever time we walked from the barracks. We were in special, he and I were, and he must have got Mel there. I don't know how Mel is a flake. But I think when we got there, we blamed Ranch. Rune and I went into special services offices, whatever they had there, and it was our work, it was our assignment. We both had a special gift or talent because I was probably just shooting off my mouth. But we walked, 20 minutes every day from barracks to the work, and we had a lot of conversations. And that's when Rune.
Right, and wait a minute, Rune who, and give me the names of the guys.
Rune Arledge.
But this is all right. But you told me Rune Arledge and Mel Yablonsky.
Yes, just ask me next time. It's embedded in my mind. I can see it like it was yesterday.
Okay.
Right?
All right. God bless you.
God bless you.
All right. Love you. Have peace. Call me later if you want.
All right.
All right,
Now,
love
if we
you.
don't talk later today, then same grain shot, what do you say? Same spot, same dot, tomorrow morning, okay?
All right. I'm going to pick you up on it's part 2 of that story, of the Rune Arledge Mel Yablonsky story.
I'll tell you everything I know about Rune Arledge.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. Love you. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so tell me the story about you and Rune Arledge and the walks you used to take, and talking about Monday Night Football.
Right. Yeah. Well, every morning, whatever time, 7:30, whatever time we had to go to work, 8 o'clock, we had to walk from the barracks to wherever the offices were that we were. We were both. The Army recognized. I don't. I don't know what they recognized in me. I really don't. But they recognized us. We were in special. There's a division called Special Services, and I think you might even get, I don't know, maybe some kind of special. You have to wear the emblems on your arm, and I think there might have been some special. You might be able to track it. I don't know, but there might be some kind of special insignia for Special Services. But anyway, so for whatever reason, and I don't have the foggiest now, of course, but in other words, I must have shown or demonstrated or done something to suggest or indicate that I would be in their special service. I would be something that could offer the Army and the guy that most guys couldn't. Not just me, of course, hundreds. And Rune Arledge and I were in, and Mel, I guess, were. Well, I don't know what Mel was, but anyway. So we were in that division, that thing. So we had to walk from the barracks every morning to our job, and our job was in whatever the headquarters were for that Special Services. And so it was a long walk, so we would chat. And quite often, as I said, and did I say this in my book? I don't remember. Did I write about it in my book?
I'm going to check after we talk, probably, but go ahead.
I would think that I would have. But in any event, if I didn't, I missed it. But so almost every day, at one point he started talking about either television football or Monday Night Football. I think it was Monday Night Football. And he talked about it, and almost every time, quite often anyway, he would talk about his vision for Monday Night Football. That's all. And we just talked. But he was a thinker. He was always thinking, Rune Arledge. And we talked about a lot of things, but obviously I can't remember them all.
Well, let me ask you this: was he in television at the time in the Army? I mean, when you're in...
Wait, let me tell you this before I forget. I think I told you. I think I might have saw this on my book just the other day. That he won at least one trip, if not more. I was one of the few blessed that had a car on base. So I would drive us home for a weekend, pass. And one or two times, at least once for sure, and I think twice, he rode with. He was my passenger for that 7 or 8 hour drive, whatever it was. And I would have to go a little bit, a couple blocks out of my way to drop him off in New York, and then we'd come upstate here. But he would ride, so we talked for hours, face to face. But then we talked every morning because we walked to work every morning.
Here's my question: was he, when he had the idea for Monday Night Football and was talking to you about it, was he already in television? I mean, in the Army in some way, or was he never in television at all? He just said, I wanted to get into television, and...
That's a good question. I have no idea what he did before the Army. So that's a good question. He may have been in television. I don't think so. Just from a vague recollection, and it would be very... I would say he was... I don't know what he did, but I don't think it was television. Because I think if it was television, he might have said something or done something in all the conversations we had. He might have said or done something that related to it. And I don't ever recall that. So I'm guessing that he was not in television before.
So he's in the Army, and he said, when I get out of the Army, I want to get into television, and I want to get into sports television,
well,
I have the idea for...
I don't know that he said he wanted to, but he talked about Monday Night Football. Now, there may have been because he was already in it. I don't know what he did before. So it was either one or the other. It was either he was a genius, because he was in it, or he was a pure genius because he wasn't even in it and he thought about it. But either way, he surely conjured up Monday Night Football, and like I said, he talked about it every day. But I just don't remember what he did before the Army.
So when he talked to you
somewhere,
so when he talked to you about football, did you both
every day.
Right, but he must have known you had an interest in football. I mean, there must have been a mutual interest there.
Probably, I would guess that. Yeah, I would guess that. Yeah.
Or was it just television and show business or entertainment?
No. It was football. It was football. It wasn't television in it. It was football.
And you said you got into special...
His whole life was all about football. Or television. No, but I think football.
And you said that you were probably in special services because you talked a lot?
I don't know why I was in special... I don't know why I was in special services.
You said you were a good talker?
Probably. I mean, special services is just what it says. It's somebody who can offer something special to the troops. In other words, everybody in special services had some special talent, some special exceptional thing that led it to be special, and you had something to offer all the rest of the troops.
So in closing, what would you say was yours, Rune's, and Mel Yablonsky's special talent?
Well,
or that the Army thought that you were in special services? What do you think they thought your talents were?
I have no idea what they thought. I have no idea. Zero. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. All
right, well, I thought you said the other day you had kind of either talked your way into special services or because you were a good talker.
Yeah, that could be. I don't remember.
And you had like a flair for entertainment, and that's why they put you in there, because I thought special...
I was also a company clerk. Now, that's an elevated position. That's like company clerk's like vice president.
Oh, interesting.
The command... Geez, I wish I had some water. The commander... Every company has a commander, and every company has like a lieutenant commander, but I don't think there is a lieutenant commander. I'm not sure, maybe there is. But the company clerk is like either second or third in line to the company. If there's a company, whatever, I forgot what I just said. But you understand? In other words, to get to the company commander, you had to go through me.
I got you. Okay, great.
I don't remember.
That's all right.
It's probably not much different now than it was then, I suppose. I don't know if the Army's changed that much. And I have no idea how I got there. But obviously, my guess is that, of all the guys in the company, whatever I said or did qualified me more than the others, I guess. I don't know, because I didn't do anything to get it.
That's all right. I'm sure you did what it took. I'm sure you did what it took for a reason, and you succeeded. So that's good. All right. Well, great story.
Yeah, but I told you the best part about it is when the audit... I don't know if I arranged the paperwork. I really don't know if I arranged it or if it was just chance. But I mean, like, there's, I don't know, 100, 200, 300 guys in the company. Everybody shipped to Korea except me. I remember that vividly.
Oh, I didn't know that. Everybody shipped to... No, everybody shipped to Korea except you?
After basic training, they assign you to where you're going to be stationed, and I guess I don't know how many men there are in the company, a couple of hundred maybe, I don't know. Now I'm not sure that I don't think, I would guess that everybody doesn't go to the same place. I don't know, but in this instance, at least if not all my company, certainly most or the majority, but I think it was all. I'm pretty sure it was all because I remember. I'm pretty sure. In other words, there might be 200 men in the whatever number on the end of basic, you get your assignment. And if there were 200 guys, 199 went to Korea because there's a war on, and I stayed back and was company clerk.
Amen. And where did you do your basic training?
Aberdeen Proving Grounds.
Wow, amen. Well, great. I didn't know that. Good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's because you showed your talent in your mental capacity instead of your fighting capacity.
Yeah, maybe.
All right.
But that was nice because...
yeah, it's very nice. Are you kidding? You might not even be around.
Everything had to go through me. Even sometimes the officers would come and want a favor, and I'd have to arrange it. So it was good for me. It was good. It was the best place to be. I mean, if you're going to be an enlisted man, other than an officer, it's just the top rank.
Good. Amen. All right. Good.
Amen. And it's a nice cap, not because it says Korean veteran, because it happens to be a very nice cap. So occasionally I wear it. When I wear this and we go to the market or someplace where there's people,
right?
Almost invariably or inevitably, some nice young man hesitates as he's passing me by and says, "Thank you for your service."
Now, my question to you is, Was that the right war, Korean War?
Oh yeah, that was my war.
Well, then you should wear that hat. I'm not for war, but that is your war, and you have every right to wear that hat.
Yeah, but I do. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with it, but the point I'm making is that it's always a young man. It's not an old man. It's not an old lady or a young lady. It's always a young man that says thank you.
Oh, that's interesting to me.
And also it's almost all. I don't wear it much, but it's when I do wear it, it's usually at the market or somewhere, and it's almost like if I wore it 10 times last year, 9 out of 8 or 9 out of the 10 times, some young man said thank you for your service.
Well, I can tell you what that is. Number one is that's awesome, and that's what they're supposed to say. That's the thing to say in public now. You're supposed to say that. Old men don't say it because there aren't any old men from the Korean War left.
That's right. That's exactly
Number
right.
two is women are too dumb to say anything about it. They're too unintelligent, and you only think it's the market because that's the only place you go. But if you wear that hat everywhere, people will respond to you. You could probably be in the parade and get on the float for wearing that hat. In fact, you should. I don't know why you don't, because let me tell you something. You're a hero. You're a war hero. You are a hero. You are a war hero. You know why you're a hero? Because you never killed anybody, and you took your responsibility, and you're charismatic and better than anybody that's ever been to the Korean War. You didn't kill anybody, and you got your wits about you, and you're handsome, and you're responsible, and you made a great life for yourself. I'm going to see what's coming up for war veterans. I'm going to have you get your just due.
You know, here's a funny.
And your Korean War. It's the actual right hat for the right thing. That's amazing.
There aren't many people.
Do you know the number one show in television history?
The Korean War serial.
MASH. That's right.
MASH.
Yeah.
What's MASH? I forget.
Remember Alan Alda, and it was it was about the war. It was MASH. It was the Mobile Army Surgical Hospital. The longest.
Yes. They were doctors. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's all about the Korean. That's the Korean
right,
War.
That's the Korean War. You're right.
So there's a great correlation between you and show business and the number one show in television history being MASH about the Korean War. For all you know, you could have booked Alan Alda since you booked Elvis and the Beatles and Johnny Cash. Who on earth can say that? Remember that picture?
Yeah. Anyway, and there's Frankie Lane, and there's Pat Boone, Trini Lopez. Here's the Beatles. All right. Okay, you wiped me out.
Well, listen, I'd be remiss if I didn't let you tell me one more story. You can give me even the abbreviated version. Tell me the story of the Beatles and the 14 U.S. cities, and you had them booked in the one...
I had that in my hand last night for some reason, yesterday.
Right, now tell it to me. You said you could tell it to me off the top of your head, so tell me.
Yes, okay, that's an easy one. Okay, so the Beatles are coming, and the story starts with, I heard about the Beatles, and somebody's talking, like around all the Beatles, or this group, and I didn't pay any attention. And then I went by a record store, and I saw the Heads, which was their first exhibit. They had cardboard, maybe 3 or 4 foot high, and they had them in the window, and the heads were bobbing, the Beatles. And then I heard something on the radio, and I thought to myself, this is going to be, so I can sense the show business, a little bit experience in me, sense that somebody was pouring some bucks into these kids, because nobody had heard of them. So I called Howard. Oh, I know. Trini Lopez. I must have told you this story.
Go ahead.
Mars. Trini Lopez. I had booked Trini Lopez in a show in Albany at the Armory, Albany Avenue Armory. And routinely, you call in the agent in New York City to tell them what the gate is, how you're doing. So I was making my routine call, and he said, Howard Sanders said to me, he invited me to his place in New Jersey. I'm trying to remember how I went on a boat ride with him. But anyway, he said, we got this hot group coming. It's a singing group, the Beatles. And he just got four boys. I said, nah, I don't think so, Howard, but thanks anyway. A few days later, I saw the Bobbing Heads, which was their first display. And then I heard something, and I said, "Oh, there's something here." So I called Howard and said, "Howard, what's involved?" He said, "You got to guarantee this so much down and so much, whatever the rule, whatever the criteria was for the booking." And so with that, I began looking for places. I didn't tell you this story.
Go ahead.
We began looking for places, and I couldn't find any place for those dates until I uncovered in my own mind that I could maybe put them at the racetrack, which nobody had ever done before. So that involved...
And what racetrack?
Green Mountain. Green Mountain was a fairly new racetrack. They had only run a couple of years, and then they faded. They ran thoroughbreds, but cheap thoroughbreds, and then they faded into the sunset. But it was a beautiful track and big and a lot of seats, and lay there idle. So I had an idea. I went there, and we scaled the house. I counted all the rows, all the seats, saw how much I could do. And when the smoke cleared, I didn't know it at that point, but I would have done, attendance-wise, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 times as much as the best gate they had wherever they played, because they didn't care about the gate or the money. They wanted to see the country. So they only wanted to book the cities that they wanted to see: Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, etc., the big cities. They turned me down the 2, 3, like I said, multiple times the money. They turned me down because, like when the manager said they're sitting, the 4 of them are sitting around, and the manager says, "Here's your Los Angeles, California, Phoenix, Arizona, Powell, Vermont." He said, "Brian Epstein," no, their manager, whatever his name was, I don't know if that was Brian Epstein or whatever, he just jumped up. "Where the fuck is Powell, Vermont?" And they turned me down because they wanted to see the country, and they couldn't identify with Vermont.
So they had about 4 dates they were open to playing in the U.S., and they had a list of 14 cities, and on the 14 cities were all big cities, and then the one city you proposed, Pownell, Vermont.
Yeah, right. And then I said down, "Why didn't you tell him something?" He says, "You can't do that." He says, "On the contract, you have to say exactly where it is." I never told you that story. That's my classic story.
You just told it now.
That's how I didn't get the Beatles.
Perfect. Beautiful. Not perfect, but really good.
But I was up on enough to want to book the Beatles, but they've turned me down. They wanted to see the country.
So, in retrospect, you said that the gate and the attendance would have...
No question. Oh, multiple times. It was a big racetrack. I mean, they see hundreds, if not thousands. I mean, the Beatles played all auditoriums. There's no question about the gate. The gate was easy. 2, 3, 4, maybe times whatever they would have. But they didn't care about the money. I'm sure they cared somewhat, but more they cared. They wanted to see the United States.
Well, I have one question on that though. I thought one of their first famous places was Shea Stadium. Was when they first played. They came to America.
Okay, well that may be, but that's New York.
Right, but that might have been the only place bigger than Pownell, Vermont, right? I mean, I can't believe that Green Mountain was bigger than all of them.
No, but it was, but bigger. They were all auditoriums. I didn't know they had an offer from Shea. If they had an offer from Shea, then Shea would have come into the mix, but still not as big. I don't know if it's big. I don't know how big. No, I'm sure Shea is pretty big too. They had an offer to play Shea Stadium, and they didn't.
No, they did. That was the first place they played in America, I think, was Shea Stadium.
Oh, but that's because it identified with New York City.
Right, but what I'm saying is I think the seating in the gate at Shea Stadium would have been bigger than Green Mountain, wouldn't it?
Oh, probably.
But that would have been like the only place, the only venue.
That was definitely the only place then, because they played only the major cities that they wanted to see.
And when you as a promoter scaled Green Mountain, did you just include the seats already in the audience, or did you plan on some like the tarmac also, and like maybe the area between the seats and the rail?
I don't remember that. My best guess is that I would have counted the front area standing and all that. My guess is I would have done that. But again, they didn't care about the gate. The city was the thing. They could not identify. I told you, he described it to me vividly. He said he jumped up in the seat and said, "Where the fuck was Paul Vermont?"
And Brian Epstein he was the manager. He would have been the one who said it.
He did it. Yep.
So Brian Epstein said it.
Absolutely, positively.
All right, amen. Great story. I got it. Woo!
I never told you that story.
Yes, but never in full like that. And now we have it recorded for history.
It's better in my mind that I was ahead of my time with the Beatles, and I had the biggest place, and they turned me down because they couldn't identify with Paul Vermont.
Now, what's amazing about that is probably, I don't know, I have to look at the dates, a decade or two later, they actually had one of the biggest concerts in history at an old fairground in a field called Woodstock, New York, and nowadays it's commonplace to use racetracks for concert events. So you were 20 years ahead of your time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Right? Because now...
I gotta look at my book right now and see if I wrote about that.
Well, like I said, that's how ahead of your time you were. That's amazing.
That's 100% accurate story. I remember vividly.
I believe it. Amen.
He told me, he described it vividly. He said Epstein jumped out of the chair. He said, "Where the fuck was Paul Vermont?"
Awesome. All right. Amen. Tell me the Johnny Cash.
Okay, well, the best one is Johnny Cash in the Cellar in Massachusetts. I played him 3 dates, and we didn't do well on the third day. I don't know, either because it was rushed or my advertising, whatever I did or whatever I don't remember, but for whatever reason, and maybe he wasn't as popular, maybe he hadn't peaked then, I don't remember. But it was the third day, and it was Massachusetts, and some city, and we're down in the cellar, in the basement after the show. I thought I told you this story. And we didn't do well, so I paid him short. Whatever I was supposed to give him, I don't know. I couldn't even meet whatever I was supposed to give him, much less profit. There was no profit for me because, again, for reasons I do not remember, most of my shows were good and we made money, but that one, for whatever, well, it was, like I said, the third, maybe I didn't devote because I was paying attention to the first two, which was, I think, Albany and Syracuse, I don't remember. I didn't pay, maybe for whatever reason we weren't doing well. So now we're under the stage, in the cellar, wherever it is on the stage, and we're settling. And I know I was short. Whatever, either I was supposed to give him something and then a bonus on top of that. But anyway, the manager, who was shorter than I was short, which I still he was shorter than me, and he's hammering me. And Johnny hears him, and he walks in, and he puts his big arm out. He was big. He put his arm out, and he gave him a swipe and sent him back 2 or 3 feet, almost off his feet. And he said, "Leave him alone, for Christ's sake." He said, "If it wasn't for guys like him, we wouldn't be in the business." Then he came over and gave me a little touch, a hug or something. I don't remember, but he came over to console me and kind of apologize for his little shrimpy manager. I read 2 things about Johnny Cash that I wrote. Do you know? The one was the kid was arguing with him at the bar, and they. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm recording.
The kid was arguing. We were at a bar somewhere around here. I had it for 3 days and 3 nights. Here's the 3 stories. I think this might be in my book. I'm not sure. Yeah, that's another thing. I think I tell you stories that I think are in the book. But anyway, I'm not sure about this one. So the one story was when he...
the kid is arguing.
Yeah, now I'm not sure if that was Johnny Cash or the other wild man that I had. What was his name? What was the other country western? He was the crazy...
Eddie Arnold?
No, Eddie Arnold was the guy. I just can't catch it. He was in popularity. He would have been second to Johnny Cash. He was very popular. I just can't pick his name up out of the air right now. But 2 stories about him. I must have told you this. He hated because he was an uppity guy. Who was the uppity guy? Eddie Arnold. Eddie Arnold was an uppity guy. And one time we're driving in Nashville and we're going down the street and what's his name's walking up and he said, "Watch this." Are you there?
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm recording.
He said,
You see
"Watch
you
this."
see the keyboard where I'm recording.
He said, "Watch this," and he veered, stepped on the gas a little bit, and veered toward the sidewalk. Scared the piss out of whoever I'm talking.
Eddie Arnold.
Eddie Arnold. Scared. And he slammed on the brakes. He was a wild man. He was a wild man. And I remember at a bar, I'm not sure if it was him or Johnny Cash, but they're arguing. I must have told you this. They're arguing, and we're at the corner at this end, and then it's a long straight bar, and a couple of young kids are way down the other end, and they're arguing about something, and the kid says something like, $10 says I'm right, and Johnny puts a chunk full of money and says something like, 1,812 says I'm right, and he threw the bills down the middle of the bar, but there's nobody there. It was late at night.
That's funny. You didn't tell that story.
Oh, that's a guess. I remember that.
What were they arguing about?
Oh, I have no idea. Some stupid sports thing, like somebody hit so many. I don't know. Some sports thing, I guess.
So Johnny
It
was
was not a serious argument. It was like a sports argument.
Oh, I see. But Johnny Cash was just trying to trump the guy by saying how much he thought he was right.
The guy
Put $10 down, and Johnny Cash puts down
$10,
$1,800.
$5 or $10. In others, the kid was making a big deal. $10 says I'm right about whatever they were talking. And like I said, I don't know if he reached in his pocket or on the boat where he had it, but he had a big wad, and he spread it. It didn't go all the way, but a few feet from us, he spread it down. And he says, 2,800 says I'm right, or something like
Oh, Johnny Cash spent all his money on the bar?
Yes.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's a funny way to do it.
You know what? I'm going to look at my book right now and hang up to see if I wrote about that.
That's interesting.
I remember vividly. The only thing I do not remember is I think the bar was around here. It had to be around here. Well, it didn't have to be. It could have been national. But I'm pretty sure that was because I was with him twice. I was maybe 3 times. And then the other time was when he made me pull over and give the kids some money. But he gave the kids some money. I didn't.
Right, I've got that story.
Traffic jam, looking for I hid a key to a car. I talked the dealer down there into giving away a car, and I hid the key, and I hid it in a shoe. In a shoe box, I don't think it was in a box. In a shoe, a pair of shoes. I put the key in a shoe store, and then I kept giving clues. Like I had somebody sponsor it as a promotion, and however, radio, television, newspaper, whatever I wanted ads. And I stood across the street, looking out the window, watching all these crazy people. double park and triple park. The police had to come. There was a massive traffic jam, because everybody wanted to go to that. I had narrowed the clue down. It was a good promotion, and I got somebody to buy into it and buy the spots. But I narrowed it down so that on the final day or days, it became obvious it was this shoe store on this street, on the main street. But then all they had to do, so they went in there, and the idiot people get massive. They started throwing. The owner was beside himself. He had called the police. They kept picking up boxes and throwing boxes, and then it was a frenzy. It was like a feeding frenzy on shoes.
So what happened? Did anyone find the key?
Oh, of course, yeah. They found. I think what happened is, I'm pretty sure of this. I had to call the station and say, you gotta narrow it down. Like I made it hard to find. You try to put it in a shoe, and then put it back in a shoe box, and then put the shoe box out with 5 million boxes of shoes.
Oh, it could be there for 100 years and never find it.
Exactly. But anyway, so that's what. In the end, that's what I had to do. I had to go in, and I had to make it easy for somebody to find the key, because they were wrecking. The city was screaming murder. They had massive traffic jam.
Now that's a great story.
Yeah, I hope it's in my book.
Okay, go ahead. Tell it to me.
Okay. All right. So we're driving home from Florida, and I don't know how many of you were with us, whether it was just you and Joey, whether it was 2 of you or 3 of you or 4, whatever, but it was one car. And we didn't know there was a gas shortage in New York. I guess we weren't paying attention. And the shortage was that to combat the shortage, New York had apparently just recently, at that time, that there before a couple, made a law that that you can only get gas even if you had an even numbered plate or something. Or your last number, whatever, you could get gas on this day, and then the other cars got gas on the other day. Well, the day we arrived at that first station in New York, that one down in I forget the name of the, the last exit on the thruway.
Suffern, I think.
Somewhere, right. Yeah. We pulled in, and I said, fill it up, and the guy he said, can't do that. I said, what do you mean you can't do that? He says, you got the wrong license. I said, what the hell are you talking about, the wrong license number? I got to look at my license number. And he said, but you better. I said, what are you talking about? I said, where's the man? I said, let me talk to the manager. So he says, go over there. So I went to the manager has a little, I guess, his office, so to speak, or the gas station's headquarters is like the back end of the building of the rest building on the thruway. You know how they have the building.
Yeah.
And he was a little run. He was smaller than me because I was only around. He said, I can't. No, I ain't giving gas. He said, I don't care if you said I said the governor that dropped the name. He said, I don't care if the president of the United States sent you. I ain't breaking the law. And that was the way it was left. So Rocky Rockefeller gave me a number. He said, you ever have a problem, you dial this number. Same number I used to get out of jail with. so I dialed the number. About 5 minutes, big, huge state police captain, with all his officials comes in, posts to the, he said, told me, stand by the door or whatever, just stand there. I said, okay, how long am I standing? He's just standing there. 5 minutes, 8 minutes, 7 minutes later he comes. He says, now tell me what's going on. I said, he won't give me gas. He said, I have the wrong number. He said, come with me. So he went around the back of the concession, the front of the gas station area, and he called the manager over, and he stood me up, and the manager over, he says, see this man? He said, that's the car over there. He said, the guy, so he said, and that's when he said, no, I ain't breaking the law. He said, all right. He said, you see that pump over there? Take him over to that pump and fill him up. Well, apparently, they have, at the rest areas, they have, it must be for police, they have a pump separate from all the others. And so he made me drive over there, and he made the manager go over and fill out. I'll never forget that. And the manager was only about 3 feet high. He was a little guy.
That's what they call influence.
I like the part though when I made the telephone call. I remember saying to your mother, well, I don't know, I had to get a coffee or something. It wasn't 5, 7, 8 minutes later that the captain pulled up.
That's amazing. You once said that to me after you did something to help me. I said, how did you do that? Like you had dealt with the government or the police or something. I was in trouble, and I said, how did you do that, Dad? I was ready to go to jail. You said, that's what they call influence.
You know what I can remember Rockefeller? We used to stand on his balcony inside his house, and he had something like he had a gym floor. Did I tell you this?
No.
And in the middle of the gym floor, I just can't remember for the life of me what it was, but it was like, I don't know, it was something unusual. And he and I used to stand on the rail in his house and in one of the floors and have fun with that, whatever it was in the middle of the floor. I just don't remember.
Was it like a toy or a piece of exercise equipment?
I cannot remember, but it was something that caught your eye and you'd like to look at. I think it might have been some like magical fountain. I don't remember. I just can't remember. But I remember standing there with him. And then I remember, I'm not going to go on and on, but another vivid one is, I must have told you this, where we're up on one of the islands in Lake George.
Okay.
And he's got his on. We're walking along the island, just whatever we're doing there. And I'm right alongside him, and him and me, and then the entourage, his guards behind us, and way away on the side of us. And we're walking from one end to the other, and we come across. We're near the end of one end, and there's a lady laying. I didn't tell you this story.
Never.
Okay. There's a lady laying there, sort of on the lake edge, or the water edge, and apparently she had fallen and gave herself a little cut on her ankle. Okay, so she's laying there in a little bit of agony. That's not panic, but a little bit of agony, and we just happened on the scene. And I'm right. He and I are alongside, and his entourage is behind us, and the guard over on each side, and we come across this lady, and we're looking at her, and we see what's obvious, and Rocky punches me in the side with his elbow and says, and she's bleeding there, laying there on the rocks on the beach, and he says to me, I guess that's what you call a drink, a bloody, something on the rocks, because I guess we gave her a drink or something, or whatever we gave her. He said that's a, you know how when you have a drink, you say I want a drink, taquino on the rocks, or the drink on the rocks, you know?
Like a Bloody Mary?
Yeah, Bloody Mary on the rocks. In other words, put it on ice. You'd say, when you order a drink, you say, give me Bloody Mary on the rocks, or whatever.
Oh, right, on the rocks, right, on ice.
Right, but she's laying, you understand, she's laying down on the, she fell, and she's bleeding a little bit on the ankle, nothing serious, and he gave me a practical punch in the side because he thought it was so humorous. He said, I guess that's what you call a drink on the rocks. Or whiskey, you know.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Rocks,
and the first one was the speeding, right? Can you tell me the speeding one real quick again?
The which one?
Where you were speeding, coming home from the governor's house at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. And the trooper pulled me over. Your mother and I pulled us over. It was like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. We were with him that long, and he said. He said, well, probably the routine things, you know, you were going fast. Where are you going? I said, we're going home. He said, where are you coming from? I guess he might have thought we were drinking. I said, the governor's house. He said, what? I said, the governor's house. He said, all right, wise guy, get out of the car. Get out of the car and come back and open your trunk. So I did. And while I'm opening it, he's sort of looking in the thing, and I reached in and got my car. I got our car out. I forget if I called in. I had Donna. I had your mother. Donna had your mother call the number. I don't remember exactly how I did, but somehow I got somebody on the phone, and I just can't remember exactly. But one of us made a call, and when he made a call off my call. And whoever he called, his captain or whoever, must have said, you know, let him go, blah, 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 blah. And the guy came back to me and said, gee, Mr. DiBello, I'm sorry I detained you, please. And he opened the door for me. Have a nice trip. That's a true story. True story. I just don't remember the exact details. But Rocky had given me the get out of jail card.
That's amazing. Now, yeah. I have to apologize to you because for 40 years, all I thought was it was a one-time meet and greet and a picture on the wall. I had no idea. Yes, I had no idea.
Oh, no, he and I were buddies. I spent a couple hours walking through his. You could walk from the back of his house to, I guess, the water. I must have been the river. I don't know what water it is, but I think it's the river. But we could walk from his. You could walk from his house. It'd take you maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes if you walk from his house, from his backyard to whatever the water is. He had all that land behind his house at Mechanical Hills.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
I think I have a picture of your mother and I being greeted by him.
Well, I know there's the one famous picture.
That was an official visit.
Yeah, no, the one official picture I remember is the black and white, like with him standing next to you in some living room, it looked like, and maybe another gentleman. And I just thought it was a one-time thing. You're at a party, and it was a quick meet and greet, and somebody snapped the picture. I had no idea. I
was at his house several times.
I had no idea.
He said, you come down whenever you're here. He said, if he was there. I mean, he was either there or in Albany in the office, in the governor's office.
Can you tell me succinctly the Whitey
I'm having trouble remembering.
No, that's okay. Tell me the Whitey Bulger run-in.
Okay, Whitey Bulger. That one I remember vividly.
Let's hear it.
I'm having lunch or dinner with Bob Sullivan, and we're in a restaurant. It was in the guy's restaurant. Everybody who was the mobs and everybody ate at this restaurant, and Bob, of course, was well known. So we're standing around. Maybe they're smoking cigars. I don't know what they're doing, and they're saying, "Whitey, come here, Whitey Bulger wants to say hello to you guys." So, however the intro was introduced, Whitey Bulger. And who the hell? I didn't even know who knew who Whitey Bulger was. But the manager of the place arranged for us to meet Whitey Bulger. And all I remember is we're standing around there chatting, 3 or 4 of us, Bob, me, and whoever else was with us. And Whitey Bulger comes by. And so we just all said, I can't remember exactly, but I think we just said hello to him but before it, I think vaguely I remember somebody beforehand had said something nasty while we were waiting for him about Whitey Bulger. So apparently he had a reputation for being a nasty guy. And that's all. And then he came and we met him, we said hello and whatever that was to that. But it turns out he was who he was. You know who he was. He was a killer. He killed people all over the place.
Right. Wow.
And then when they found him in Los Angeles, he had 2 suitcases full of $100 bills or $1,000 or whatever. He had 2 suitcases full of money. Wow. You can probably read in history. You can probably read a story about Whitey Bulger.
No, they did a movie about him called Black.
No, I'm saying you could probably go back in time and you won't remember because I don't know how many years ago. But what I'm saying is back then he was a front page news guy.
No, I understand.
And then he became a murderer, and they were hunting him down. They were looking for him everywhere.
Right. No, I know the story. Wow.
Well, anyway,
well,
that was the exposure to Whitey Bulger. That's all. Okay.
All right, go ahead.
So Charlie was a beautiful, dear man, and I would visit him when I was running the radio station in Saratoga, and we talked for an hour, 2 hours in his office. And it was a regular visit, and we both, I think, enjoyed it very much. Well, he must have, because he kept inviting me, stop by. I don't think he ever bought a single commercial from me at the radio station. But I visited him regularly, once or twice a week. So one time, he had this fancy little toy on the corner of his desk. He had just come back from some foreign country, and it was the cutest thing. We played with that toy for at least an hour and a half, 2 hours. We played. And
what kind of toy was it?
I don't remember. Something on his, you could put on your desk, and it flopped around. It did something. It came from some European country.
All right.
I can't remember.
All right, that's okay.
50 years ago. At least 50 years ago.
Okay.
But anyway, we played, and I remember we had a good time. And over the next few visits, the same thing. Something recently, like in the last year, came up, and that toy somehow came into play. I just can't remember how, but it was so exciting, titillating for me to the memory of Charlie Dake and me. So my thought was, I would love to show his son, or whoever, I think it was his son, who's now running. No, maybe it's not his son. Maybe it's a nephew. I think on second thought, it's a nephew. But I thought he'd love to see if he could identify that toy, that a semi-toy. It wasn't really a toy. It's like a souvenir. If he could if it was still in Charlie Dake's office, I could show him some of the things that Charlie Dake and I did and used to do with that toy.
Oh, interesting. Okay. No, I'd never heard that before.
Wait. Well, the kid never called me back.
Well, it's kind of an odd thing, but I'll try. You never know.
What?
I don't know. I'll try something.
I've lost it now. I mean, I lost the whole thing. I couldn't do. I couldn't. This was like a year ago. I couldn't do anything now if I tried. But anyway, now why did I start to tell you that story? Wait a minute. I want to tell you a story. Oh, I know why I want to tell you a story. Here. So one of the times, where'd you go?
I'm there. I'm recording.
Listen, one of the times, Charlie starts telling me about his vision. And he said, someday I'm going to have a Stewart's on every street corner in every city around, every here in New York and neighboring states. He told me that years before he ever had his first store. And then eventually, I lost track of it, but eventually the first store came, and now, sure enough, Stewart's all over the land. They're over Vermont and New Hampshire and all around here. Of course, there's Stewart's every street corner. But anyway, he had that vision that many years ago, and he didn't even have a store then. They had a little attached to the farm. They had a little cubby hole where you could buy milk or ice cream or whatever.
Wow.
So he didn't even have a store, but he had that vision, and a couple of times he sketched out on the paper whatever we had, and almost every time I went to see him, we played with that toy. We had so much fun. I visited with him for a couple of. He was one terrific guy. But anyway, I tried to tell that story to this kid. I couldn't even get him to talk.
Well, I'm going to try because I just think it's interesting, and it's a real American success story.
Well, yeah, but the part of the reason I called was to see if this toy this thing was so unusual. Part of the reason to see if that thing, you have mementos, and when somebody dies, Charlie liked it so much, I wanted to see if the thing still remained in their possession.
Okay, that's interesting.
But I have but the point is, the thing is, I have no idea what it was.
Yeah, well, it's hard. 50 years ago, it's hard to remember anything. All right, that's a good story.
That's my Charlie Dead story.
All right, hold on. Hold on. Say that again. Say that about Mabel.
Mabel, Russell, and Buttons.
But why didn't you have much? Say that line about why you didn't have much to do with Mabel.
Well, Mabel was a girl. In those days,
You said that perfectly.
In those days, nobody cared about girls. They just cared about playing games.
All right, so go ahead and tell the story that you were going to tell about school. And I think I don't know if it had something to do with Russell and Buttons.
School?
The story you were about to tell. I know, kind of drifted away from me, too.
Yeah, I lost it in school.
You were just about to tell me a story. You said, speaking of...
What? Speaking of who?
Oh, jeez. Was it Russell and Buttons?
I don't know.
Damn.
I don't know.
Ah, it slipped by us both. Yeah. I sensed that I shouldn't have interrupted. All right.
There was a funny story about one of them. I just don't remember now.
Well, it wasn't the classic Russell and Buttons story, is it?
What was it? No. It was just one of them did something.
All right. Well, come on. But you want to tell me? You want to take a minute to tell me the classic Russell and Buttons?
I lost that now too.
It was, I think, show and tell, or you had a thermos. That's the classic Russell and Buttons. I don't want to give you the punchline.
No, I don't remember.
You showed Russell and Buttons how the thermos worked.
Oh, they wanted to know how it's safe. How do I know? How do I know? How do I? I think that was Russell and Buttons.
It is Russell and Buttons.
How do I know?
Tell the whole story. Can you tell the whole story real quick?
Yeah, I don't remember the story. I don't remember. I just remember. I know there was a discussion about thermostat one day, about the thermos one day. I just don't remember.
Well, it was a discussion about, they had those old thermos things. As you put hot, you can put coffee, you can put soup, you can put, cold things in it, and it's a thermos. It's supposed to keep it, it keeps the warm stuff warm and the cold stuff cold. And Russell, you had one in school or something, or somebody had one in school, and you tried to describe how it worked to Russell, to the only couple black kids in school, Russell and Buttons. And then when you described it to them, what was their response?
I think I don't remember, but I think that's where I first heard "How do I know."
That was it. That was the answer. Yeah, that was it.
I don't remember.
You quizzed them about it, and you're like, yeah, it keeps the warm stuff warm and the cold stuff cold. And they were like, how do it know?
I think they were sitting on the steps those days. I don't remember.
Oh, they were sitting on the steps? Oh, okay. All right.
I don't remember. I just can't. I remember hearing that, and I remember Russell and Buttons. So I don't know. It's 100 years ago.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. You've done good. We got some of the good parts. Mickey the Cog, go.
It's a classic. Okay?
Yep. Roll them.
Okay. So, Pete Russo and Phoebe Stanley, who was Phoebe Russo, was Donna's best friend. And, no, I scratched that.
Dottie's best friend.
Dottie's best friend. Dottie's best friend. And we're sitting in a club where Mickey was playing up on Central Avenue. And Mickey's always teasing. If I walk in, he'd stop in the middle of a song. He'd say, "Here comes Tony DiBello," and he'd make a big thing of it. But that was the arena. That's where we were sitting, the nightclub. And during the course of the night, this tall, good-looking, really model. I mean, he could have been anything. I think Joe Arquette. Joe was a bookie in Schenectady. And Schenectady in those days was wild. I mean, they did more bookie business in Schenectady bookies than the Albany guys. But Mickey, the bookie, walked up to us and greeted us, and Pete's introducing Mickey. He was on the break with, but I think it was Mickey. Well, it was either Mickey or Pete Russo, whoever is introducing us to Pete. I think I told this story. And when Pete got to me, and he says, "Oh, I know him." He said, then whoever was asking said, "What do you mean you know him?" He said, "Well," he said, I do my regular booking business." He said, "And this guy DiBello here finds me one day, and he starts betting with me, and I wind up the rest of the season collecting from all my bettors to pay him." That's a true, accurate story.
So I love that one. And just in case, tell me the one about how when they're at the harness track, they come around the top of the stretch.
Oh yeah, Pete would raise his. There's the betting when they had like 2 or 3 betting windows up at the head of the track on just off the rail. They were there for the track people, the horsemen. And then you have to go way down past a lot of outside seats and then to the grandstand. But anyway, it was the 2 betting windows for the convenience of the horsemen. And Pete was notoriously crooked. And so he had a system, and from those betting windows, which is that corner of the track, you can see, of course, the track, every part of it. So Pete had a system wherein they would, if the race was fixed or somehow they knew who was going to win or had a pretty good chance. I mean, I think he probably batted like 80%. They certainly won a lot more than they lost. But anyway, so just the horsemen, a couple of horsemen would be in on when they knew something. And when they come around the upper turn, but on the other side of the track before they're coming around to the grandstand side, Pete had a system where he would hold his whip or his hat. He made some adjustment to me at the betting windows, at the other corner of the same corner, but the other end of the curve, and he would signal to me, and then it would take from the head of the turn there to the finish line before you get the bet. But at the trotters, at least in those days, they gave you I don't know, maybe half a minute after the bell rang to get a bet. So there was no problem there. And besides, those windows were all empty because it was track time, and there were horsemen when there were nobody there except a handful of trackmen. So anyway, Pete was as crooked as they come. So that's it. But we made a few dollars then. I can't remember, but he was notoriously bad. He fixed races that because he was a sharp guy, and a lot of those horsemen were just horse guys, and so he practically ran that track for some time.
That's interesting. That's a great story. Now, the one that I know that's most famous.
I can't hear you.
No, the one that I know that's most famous is.
You got to end with this one. 'Cause
Okay.
I'm wiped out.
Is the Johnny Mathis? I think with the suitcase, and money, and you at dinner and the gun.
Say again, the what?
You were with Johnny Mathis, I think, after a show, and you had a briefcase full of money, and I think you had a gun, and somebody came in and maybe tried to rob you while you were with Johnny.
Yeah, but that wasn't. Yeah. I were robbing the store. The I don't know, but I don't. That's funny, Mark. I told you that story.
Well, apparently I have it wrong, so tell me what happened.
Whoever I was with. No, it was a restaurant. We had played in a show. I don't remember for sure who it was. And it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. After the show was over, 2 o'clock in the morning. There was only you can only find 1 or 2 places open. And so we found one, and we're sitting there eating, snacking, whatever we're doing. And a guy walked in and was robbing the store while we were there. And I don't know what I really would intend, but I had a real gun but again, I had it because I carried the cash for the show, and I scared whoever it was. He was, oh my God, he turned red, green, purple, and yellow. He was panicked. He said, "No, don't take your hand out there." He was nervous and like I said, I don't know that I would have done anything, but I must have made a gesture toward my gun, my strap, my rest, not on my hip, on my chest, the shoulder thing they had.
Right.
You know what I'm talking?
Yeah.
Like Texas were.
Yeah.
And he, Dino Fiacco. I think it was Dino. Dino Fiacco. I think. Well, whoever it was.
Yeah, I think it was Dino Fiacco, but it was Johnny Mathis was the guy you were booking though. I think, right? Was it Johnny?
No, it wasn't. This was after the show in a restaurant in Albany.
Right, but I mean, was Johnny Mathis with you or just Miss Dino Fiacco?
No. It was just Dino.
I see. Oh, okay.
The star wasn't with us.
Oh, I see.
It was just,
okay. I think
Dino,
it was.
it was Dino and his wife.
Okay.
Who's still around, of course.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna tell.
Yes.
I'm gonna tell his daughter that story because I don't think she ever heard it, and she just wrote me, Geraldine.
Yeah,
So, but Nancy, his wife, is still around.
You can tell Geraldine. Absolutely, you can tell Geraldine.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna prayerfully tell many more people than that, but I guess I got the story confused. So, well, those are what.
It was Dino and his wife who were sitting there with
and
Donna and your mother.
Right. No, not Donna. Yeah.
But I had, like I said, I only had the shoulder holster. You strapped over your shoulder with the little 38
Sure.
on your chest.
Absolutely.
But I only had it because I carried money for the show.
Right.
Because I knew I was going to have a lot of money.
That's amazing. All right. Well, I remember that story. All right, Pop. Well, I love you. God bless you. Those are wonderful.
Now you've drained me.
Well, that's okay, but these stories will last longer than you and I, so I'm going to do my best.
All right.
All right. I love you.
When am I going to talk to you again?
Maybe in a few days or maybe sooner.